I do not believe that the first horseman is the Messiah. Number one, the first horseman is just one of four beings. Messiah is never just one of four beings. He's the one, period. In Revelation 4, 2 chapters before, it says, before the throne, there was something like a sea of glass and crystal. Around the throne, four living creatures full of eyes in front and behind. The first creature was like a lion, the second like a calf, the third had the face of a man, the fourth was like a flying eagle. The four living creatures each had 6 wings full of eyes around. Who are they? These are angelic beings. These are scary angelic beings who appear almost like the cherubim in Eden. They are like guardians. They are around the throne of God like the cherubim who guarded the way to first in Eden. The Bible is so consistent, it's amazing, but that's what you expect of God. Isaiah, centuries before, is standing, he's seeing a vision of God. It says in Isaiah 6, in the year of King Uzziah's death, I saw the Lord sitting on a throne. He was exalted high up, and the train of his robe filled the temple, and seraphim were standing above him, each having 6 wings, again, 6 wings. With 2 covered his face, with 2 covered his feet, with 2 he flew. And one called out to the other and said, Kadosh, 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 holy, holy, holy is Adonai Tsevaot, the Lord of hosts. The whole earth is filled with his glory. Again, now seraphim actually means glowing or fiery, on fire. These are creatures, angelic creatures around the presence of God. Here they have 6 wings. Now I'm going to give you one more. And again, how Revelation, you want to understand that? You kind of have to understand the whole Bible. Revelation is like a landing script where all these planes are coming in. Ezekiel 1, beginning of Ezekiel's revelation. I looked, behold, a high wind was coming from the north. A great cloud was coming, goes on. In the midst, something like gleaming metal of fire, light like burning. And within it, there were figures resembling 4 living beings. And their appearance, they had a human form. Each of them had 4 faces. 4 faces and 4 wings. Their legs were straight. Their feet were like a calf's hoof. They sparkled like polished bronze. Under their wings on their 4 sides were human hands. And for their faces and wings, of the 4 of them, the wings touched the others. Their faces didn't turn when they moved. And each one went straight forward. As for the form of their faces, each had a human face. All had the face of a lion. All had the face of an ox and eagle. Okay, you got that? Human, man, ox or calf, in the other sense, a lion, and an eagle. That's exactly what you see in Revelation. The difference here is these are creatures where they have 4 faces. The others are 4 creatures with 1 face, but a lot of eyes. 4. Okay, so it's all linking together. Lion, bull or ox or a calf, man or eagle. And there's clearly connecting Ezekiel with Revelation. I mentioned to you, there's a pattern here that you can even see with the 4 Gospels. I won't go into it, but the first Gospel is the lion, the king. Gospel of Matthew, Yeshua, Messiah, the king, royal. Then you have the ox, the beast of burden, labor. Gospel of Mark is Messiah as a servant of God, worker of God's miracles and works. Then you have the man. Gospel of Luke, Yeshua, Jesus, in his humanity, perfect man. And then you have the eagle, a heavenly being flying in the heavenlies. Gospel of John, Yeshua, Messiah, as God, heavenly in the spiritual. That's just a thing here. Now, each of the 4 creatures summon one of the 4 horsemen. That's what's happening here. And so now when we get to the 4 horsemen, we got to also see, where are we? Do we have something the Bible actually gave us? It's not out of the blue, and then we do. I'm going to read a little bit from Zechariah. I lifted my eyes, Zechariah 6, and I looked, and behold, 4 chariots were going forth between the 2 mountains, and the mountains were bronze mountains. Okay, these are 4 chariots, but there are 4 horsemen on the chariots. What colors? The first chariot was red horses. Second was black. Third were white horses. And the fourth were spotted horses. Interesting, because we're going to see the red horse, We're going to see the black horse. We're going to see the white horse. Now here it says spotted, but that also means grizzled, which can mean streaked with gray or pale, and there is a pale horse as well. So there's something here. Now, these in Zechariah, it says these are 4 spirits that are patrolling the earth. In Revelation, you have 4 beings that are bringing judgment on the earth. Could there be a link? Well, there's something here. Each of the creatures summons a horse and the horsemen. Now, if the order of the creatures is who summon the horsemen are the same as the order where they gave them in the chapter before, where they introduced them, it'd be an interesting match at the beginning because the first one is a lion. And the first horse is going to be linked to, there's a crown, there's a royalty, lion. Here's the first horseman. I looked, and behold, a white horse, and the one who sat on it had a bow, and a crown was given to him, and he went out conquering, to conquer. Okay, so you got the lion as the first creature summoning this beast crown. First horse, white. The one who sits on it has a bow. Doesn't show the arrow, but I don't think it's trying to make a point of that. It has a crown, royalty, and goes out to conquer. What does this represent? What does this mean? Now, there are those who believe that this is Jesus. In fact, many of the old commentaries seem to think that. Why? Because it's a white horse. He's given a crown, and he goes forth. Revelation 19 says this, now I saw heaven open up, this is later, and behold a white horse, and he who sat on him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he judges and makes war. His eyes are like flames of fire, in his head there were many crowns. He had a name that nobody knew except himself. He was clothed with a robe dipped in blood. His name is called the Word of God. Well, that's clearly Messiah there. That's the second coming. And he's on a white horse, and he has crowns. Not one crown, many. But I do not believe that the first horseman is the Messiah. Number one, the first horseman is just one of 4 beings. Messiah is never just one of 4 beings. He's the one, period. Number 2, the 4 horsemen are component of judgment. Messiah is the judge. He will judge, but you can't call him a piece of judgment. 3, the 4 horsemen speak of the beginning of a judgment. It's beginning, especially the first one is the beginning. And soon we're going to see this, another one's going to take peace from the earth. But when Messiah comes on the horse, the white horse in the vision, it's not the beginning of the apocalypse, it's the end of the apocalypse. It's the beginning of the kingdom. It doesn't lead to famine and all, it leads to the kingdom. So that doesn't really go there. So then, what would the first horseman be? Well, he's a symbol of conquest. It says conquest, go conquer. And could there be more to that? If it is more specific, I would say, and we're not being dogmatic, we're not making this a doctrine, I would say that there's a good possibility this could match up with the Antichrist. And the reason is, none of these 4 horsemen are good in what they bring. I mean, they may be used of God, but they're all used for judgment, every one of them, or destruction. The Antichrist is a king. He comes as a king. He's a warrior. He makes war. It makes sense because who's the Antichrist? He's the false Messiah. So if Messiah is going to come at the end on a white horse, it makes sense that this would be one who's coming on a horse now. And Messiah is the king, so he's got many kings, but many crowns, but this one has just one. And so, and the name Antichrist can mean instead of Christ. He's the substitute Messiah. So we would expect him to resemble him, but he would expect that he's a judgment, unlike Messiah. The very fact that this has confused commentators where they think it could be Messiah is kind of a sign that that's what the Antichrist is going to do. He's going to confuse people to think that he is the Messiah. That's what he's going to do. I mean, obviously, he's the opposite of Messiah, but in many ways, he's going to come as if he was the Messiah. And this goes along with end-time prophecy because it appears, if you put this together, the Antichrist will first subdue the kingdom, the earth, a one-world state. Then judgment will come. So first, there is already this one-world state. There is a kingdom. The Antichrist is king. Then comes the judgment upon that. So that makes sense. That's what you would have first. Okay, let's go to the second seal. When he broke the second seal, I heard the second living creature say, "Come." Now another horse came, a red horse went out, and to him who sat on it, it was granted to take peace from the earth, and that people would kill each other. A large sword was given to him. So now you've got a red horse, you've got a rider of the red horse with a sword. He has the power, the second horseman, to take peace from the earth, that people kill each other. So the second horseman is pretty clear, is war, conflict, large sword, weapon of war. What's the link between war and the color red? Well, war brings the color red. War brings blood. Red is the color of blood. War also often brings fire and destruction. Red, the color of fire, whether through flaming arrows or bombs or nuclear weapons. Red, the color of war. The Greek word here for the red of the horse is the word porhros, which means fire red. That's what it means. It doesn't mean fire red. And so it's interesting because fire is linked to destruction. Could fire be part of Revelation and what comes? Actually, could it be linked to nuclear weapons? You see, for the first time ever, man has the power to destroy the world, which is in Revelation in some form. And so could that be? It could. It could be part of it. Interesting, because it's written in end-time prophecy that the powers of the heavens shall be shaken, it says. Power in that day, the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. Interesting, because the Greek word for heavens here is oranos, from which we get the word uranium. Uranium comes from the word for heaven. And I'm not saying that's the main meaning, but God is amazing, so everything, he has a million levels. Uranium, the powers, that being shaken is how you get nuclear destruction. And then the other thing is the object that falls from the heavenlies or the sky comes onto the world and poisons the waters is called wormwood. Wormwood, and wormwood in Russian is the word Chernobyl. Chernobyl is the place of the world's greatest nuclear meltdown that poisoned the whole land. Chernobyl, in fact, they even realized it, because if you go there today, and probably you won't go there, in front of the destruction is a statue of the angel from Revelation sounding the trumpet, which brought wormwood. And interesting, the same word for red here, fire red, is the same word. It occurs one more time in Revelation, which is the color of the dragon, or Satan, who is the destroyer. Red is also associated with sin, and red is become the color, interesting, that is associated with a movement, which is Marxism or communism or socialism. The red stars, the red flags, the flag of the Soviet Union, red with a hammer and sickle. Flag of communist China, red with yellow stars. The disciples of this movement were called the Reds. No accident. Red's the color of evil and bloodshed, and it's the color of communism. I don't think that's an accident. The association with red led some people during the Cold War to believe that the red in Revelation represented communism. I don't believe that, but could there be a connection? Yeah. You know, red is generally that kind of a color. Hey, I hope you're enjoying the video. If you want to get more messages like this, just hit the subscribe button. You'll be getting the most recent prophetic updates on current events and everything else, my teachings, the mysteries, and more. Now back to the message. Red also appears in the book of Revelation as the color of the harlot, the prostitute, mystery Babylon, representing immorality. You know, in cities they have red districts. It's like prostitution. And here, the persecution of God's people, also red. So war is going to come upon the world in the last days. Wars and rumors of wars. War is certainly used of the enemy because it brings destruction. War is also a judgment. Abraham Lincoln saw the Civil War as a judgment from God on the sin of slavery. War came as a judgment on Israel again and again. I mean, like when Babylon came to Israel and destroyed the temple, and the Romans came, that was a judgment from God, but it was war. Okay, now we go to the third seal. When he broke the third seal, I heard the third living creature say, "Come." I looked, behold, a black horse, and the one who sat on it had a pair of scales in his hands. And I heard something like a voice in the center of the four living creatures saying, "A quart of wheat for a denarius, and 3 quarts of barley for a denarius, but don't touch the oil and the wine. 3rd horse, black. Quart of wheat, what is that? It was a man's or a slave's ration of food for an entire day. Okay, that's food for a day. Now it says, how much is it going to cost? Some Bibles say, the old Bibles say for a penny, but the word is denarius. What is that? That's a day's wage. Okay, so what it's saying is, in other words, you have to work an entire day to get enough food to eat. Okay? You understand? Of food to eat. Nothing else, just the food to eat. If you eat from home, it's a few dollars. And well, this is your entire working for a day just to get enough. Black horse, famine, scarcity, want. You can even add into that inflation, because that's what it does when you don't have enough. And even economic collapse, because that's what happens when that goes on. One of the judgments mentioned by the prophets of Israel is that of famine. So you have the sword, the red horse, now you have famine. Interesting, because in modern times, we've seen the deadliest wars in history. World War I, World War II. We have the potential for an even more deadlier war. And also we've seen great famines. Interesting, because the black horse follows the red horse, and famine often follows war. In the last days, there will be famine. There has already been famine. There will be economic collapse. All right, let's go to the 4th horse. When the Lamb broke the 4th seal, I heard the voice of the 4th living creature saying, "Come." I looked, and behold, a pale horse. All right. Now, the translation here is interesting depending on your Bible, because some Bibles will say pale horse. The NIV says that. The New Living Translation will say pale green. Another says ashen. The original word in the Greek is chloros. Try it. From which we get the word chlorine. We also get the word chlorophyll. Chloros is used in the Bible to speak of grass. It means green, greenish yellow, pale green. That's where we get all those words. And the one who sat on it had the name Death, and Hades was following with him. The one who sat on it was named Death. Now here you've got a personification of death and of Hades and hell. This is not hell as in the judgment. That hasn't happened yet. People confuse that. It's Hades, meaning place of the dead. Now with death, we often picture, if I say picture death, you'll picture a thin, tall guy with a black robe, black hood, maybe with that scythe or sickle there, be a skeleton kind of thing there. We don't know what John saw, but we know it's a personification of death. Interesting, something you will not see in your English Bibles, but it's in the original. Subtle, subtle, subtle. The first horseman sits on the first horse. The Greek word is epi, which means simply on. Second horse, same word, on the second horse. Third sits on the third horse. The 4th one, though, it says it translates he sits on the pale horse, but the word is not the same. It's epono, which means he's above the horse. Like he sits above the horse, almost like he might be floating. Unlike the other ones, like he could be spirit, a presence, or like death is like not a presence, it's an absence. But it's interesting that that's a little thing that's in there. Now, we know the horse here you'd think would be a black horse for death, but it's green. Why green? Green is here the color of death in this sense that a body or corpse turning green. That's where that's from. Sickness and death, green, yellow. Authority was given to them over 1/4 of the earth to kill with sword and famine and plague and by the wild animals of the earth. 1/4 of the earth here to kill with the sword, red horse, famine, black horse, plague and pestilence could be included in the last one, and by the animals of the earth. Now this shows again how incredibly Jewish the book of Revelation is, if you want to understand it. The 4th horse here representing death, and it's summing it all up as sword, famine, pestilence. The prophet Jeremiah tells Israel judgment's coming by sword, famine, and pestilence. Jeremiah 14. Jeremiah 21, judgment will come on Jerusalem by pestilence, sword, and famine. Jeremiah 21:9, those in the city will die by famine, sword, and pestilence. I will send the sword. It goes on and on. Those three words come together about judgment in Jeremiah. About 12 times those three words keep repeating. And in the book of Ezekiel, they repeat about 7 times. Between the two prophets, about 20 times. And here they come as 4 horsemen, but there they are as famine, pestilence, war, the sword, death. Revelation adds wild beasts of the earth, but interesting because Ezekiel 5 talks about the judgment coming by famine, pestilence, sword, and evil or wild beasts. Same exact as Revelation. It's a picture of judgment. This is the judgment of Israel is in the prophets, but now this is the judgment of the whole world. Compare what the Lord said about the last days. He said in Matthew 24, nation shall rise against nation, sword, kingdom against kingdom. There shall be famine, the black horse. Pestilence could be the 4th horse. Earthquakes in diverse places, but he that endures to the end shall be saved. Now the Bible clearly says that in the last days, the nations will war against a nation called Israel. If you're in a world and Israel has come back into that world after being away from that world for ages and ages and ages, know that you're in the end times according to the Bible. People are trying to deny that now. It doesn't matter. You cannot take out the scripture. Clearly, God says, I will bring them back, and they will be there. And the nations will come against Israel, Bible says. In Revelation, it's there in the form of Revelation 11 says, the nations will trample the holy city for 3.5 years. And it also says in Zechariah, on the day that the nations come against Israel, that's the day that Messiah is coming. That's when Messiah, the Lord, will fight for Zion, that they will look upon him whom they have pierced. That's where his feet are going to stand on the Mount of Olives. But the greatest enemy of the Jewish people, the most satanic adversary, of the children of Israel was Adolf Hitler and the Third Reich. Kind of a shadow of the Antichrist. So Antichrist, if you can believe it, it's going to be worse. What was the banner of Hitler, of that evil? What was the banner? Red for the red horse, white for the white horse, black for the black horse. 3 out of the 4, all the colors are the colors of the horses. But let's go further, because the only one that's out there is green, or chloros. So it's amazing that the colors of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse have been manifesting in the world. I wrote in the dragon's prophecy, and it continues today. Where do the colors of the apocalypse have been manifesting? Wherever there is hatred of Israel. Because at those rallies, they gather around a banner, the flag of Palestine, which is red for the red horse, white for the white horse, black for the black horse, and green for the green horse. The colors of the apocalypse. It is a spiritual war. And really, it's not about even Palestine. It's about the destruction of Israel. And so they don't know it, but they're waving the flag of the 4 horsemen, a flag of judgment. But it's not only Palestine, not only that. And remember, Palestine is named after the Philistines, the enemies of Israel. And here you got the 4 horsemen. Ezekiel 38 prophesies of a war in the end times against Israel and identifies the attackers. And one of the attackers is called Put, which corresponds with North Africa, centrally Libya. Here is the flag of Libya. Red horse, white horse, black horse, and green horse. The apocalypse. Another one of the nations that Ezekiel identifies as waging war against Israel is Cush, which today, sometimes people say Ethiopia, but the biblical Ethiopia is not today's Ethiopia. It's the Sudan. This is the flag of the Sudan. Red horse, white horse, black horse, green horse. Syria has been a long-time enemy of Israel. It attacked Israel at its birth. In the 6-Day War, it tried to destroy Israel. Then in the Yom Kippur War, tried to do it. This is the flag of Syria. Green, white, red, and black. Iraq, longtime enemy of Israel. Saddam Hussein vowed to destroy Israel, sent missiles into Israel's cities. This is the flag of Iraq. Red horse, white horse, green horse, black horse. Kuwait, longtime enemy of Israel. This is the flag of Kuwait. Red, green, white, black. United Arab Emirates. This is the flag of the United Arab Emirates. Red horse, green, white, black. Jordan, which attacked Israel in 1948 and the Six-Day War. Here's Jordan. Red, black, white, green, all the horses. Western Sahara, Islamic nation, red, black, white, green. They get them all in there. And the nation in which 9/11 was planned, where Osama bin Laden directed his forces and was ruled by the Taliban to this day, Afghanistan. Black horse, red horse, white horse, green horse, all there. The four horsemen of the apocalypse in all these flags, in all these that are against Israel. Outside of God, there is judgment. And if you're just hearing this for the first time, but we who are in God, who are born again, there's no judgment. We don't have to worry about the four horsemen. This is the flag of the nation of Israel. Very different. Very different. It's blue and white. It's the colors of basically the heavens. It's blue and white like the sky. You know what the flag of Israel actually is? The flag of Israel is a prayer cloth. It's the Jewish talit. It's the Jewish prayer cloth. That's why it has two stripes on it. It's linked to prayer. It's linked to God, actually. And the other thing about it is, like, we don't know what Messiah looked like, except we know he looked like a Jewish man, but he had a beard, because they all did. But he fulfilled the law, so that means he always wore blue, because it says that on the edges of your garment, you will have blue there. So that's why the flag of Israel is blue, because God said, put blue on your garments. They made the prayer cloth based on that commandment, which Messiah would have worn. So the flag of Israel is actually linked to the garment of Jesus, Yeshua. Hey, this is Jonathan Cahn. I hope you enjoyed